Hey there folks, welcome back to the Tower Tech. We're doing a very different sort of video for you today, and I'm not just saying rude things about myself for those of you that are confused about the title of this video. I am of course talking about the Myers-Briggs personality assessment, for which I was very lucky recently to have someone, a properly trained Myers-Briggs assessor, sit and do this with me. It was part of a process I was undertaking at work, and the report that I got back was very detailed, it was very insightful, and it knew things about myself that I don't think I have been particularly forthcoming in really sharing, even with some of the closest people that I've got in my life. So it's kind of sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole, a whole load of reading around it. It's probably fair to say that there were periods of my childhood where I felt quite misunderstood. That is one of the normal characteristics of my particular Myers-Briggs personality type, and I just kind of wanted to share this with you guys. So I'm an INTJ. For those that are not familiar with Myers-Briggs, that's not going to mean a whole lot, so I'll explain a little bit about what that means in a second. But it's a very rare personality type. In fact, it's the third rarest, with only around about 2.1% of the population having this particular personality type. So that means in every 100 odd people that you meet, about 2 people are going to have this particular personality type. So pretty rare. And the 4 letters, the INTJ, represent the 4 dimensions of this personality. And there is, for each of those 4 letters, there are 2 choices. So let me just explain that a little bit for you. So the first letter that makes up your personality type, of which there are 16, is about whether you are an introverted or an extroverted person. Now, this is largely to do with where you regain energy. It's often misconstrued and mixed up with social confidence. It's actually not that. Introverted people tend to get energy from being alone or in one-on-one type situations, and extroverted people tend to get their energy from large social situations where there are a multitude of different people. And of course, you know, it goes without saying throughout this video that everybody is an individual. You can't box people perfectly into 16 boxes and that they're all a clone if you're in the same box. We're individual people. But you can have, to be very clear, you can have socially confident, introverted people. I would consider myself one of those. I'm quite comfortable around other people. I'm quite comfortable doing presentations. In fact, I enjoy the company of people, but I do find that quite fatiguing, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Just I require energy on my own to go and recharge the batteries. You know, a good Saturday night is me sat doing something like this, which is predominantly me sat on my own, albeit of course I'm talking to you guys. You're not actually here in the room with me, or sat reading a book, something like that. So that constitutes the I for my particular personality type, or an E, depending on whether you're extroverted. The next one is about how you take in information. So you're either intuitive or sensing. The intuitive being the N. We've already used the I for introverted, so we need a different letter for the intuitive. Sensing people tend to be far more kind of logical and fact-based. Intuitive people can take quite fundamental leaps, quite insightful leaps, sometimes largely predicated on patterns of behavior that they've seen in the past. The next letter is about whether you're a thinker or a feeler. That's largely around your decision-making framework. Thinkers will tend to make very rational, detached, logically thought through decisions. Feelers tend to be far more empathetic, thinking about the total impact for all of the individuals involved. And the last letter, whether you are a judger or a perceiver, is about which of the letters you put a particular emphasis on, and that orders your cognitive functions that essentially describe the things that you're most good at and the things that you're least good at. For example, for INTJs, our primary function is introverted intuition, which means we go inwardly quite a lot. We like to think through things quite deeply, reach sometimes quite profound conclusions. And then our secondary cognitive function is extroverted thinking, where we go out and start talking to the world about that. So that last letter, that judging and perceiving, just reorders those cognitive functions. And it's fair to say, guys, look, in the couple of minutes that I've been talking about this, I have done this absolutely no justice at all. I'm very happy to do a video in more depth if that's something that you're interested in. If you're interested in that, please leave your thoughts on that down in the comments below. That wasn't particularly the intent of this video. This is a vlog, and I think really to share with you that I've found this process quite insightful. If you're looking for a better understanding of yourself to support a development plan, or just a broad exploration of yourself, I'd really, really recommend it. I was quite flabbergasted, actually, at some of the things it was telling me about myself. Just to kind of put a bit of a fun lens over this, to give you a sense of INTJs. I'll give you a quick whistle-stop tour of famous INTJs in history. So for those that can remember A Beautiful Mind, that very famous film from, I think, about 2001, John Nash, the real-life person that film is about, is an INTJ. Stephen Hawkins is an INTJ. Tesla, who was a very famous scientist who did lots of work with electricity, was an INTJ. Newton, who hopefully everybody is familiar with, was an INTJ. Isaac Asimov, who came up with the principles, the laws of robotics for robots that you will remember from iRobot. And then more recently, people like Mark Zuckerberg, who founded Facebook, and Elon Musk, who's just done just some wonderful, wonderful stuff, and has, set himself some fairly lofty life ambitions about, materially saving the planet and driving down global warming and making humans an interplanetary species, all the really, really easy stuff that he's tried to take on. But you do get throughout all of those people quite a strong characteristic of, very scientific, preferenced individuals who are very deeply analytical, slightly quirky, it's fair to say. I don't want to say, let's leave it at they're very slightly quirky individuals who've, in some instances, had quite problematic lives. I think that's probably because they see the world from a perspective that not very many other people do. And of course, no one personality type is better than any other. I think the rarity of this particular personality type and the strength of the intuitive perception that they have of the world can make it quite difficult for them to relate to other people on occasions. Again, just to put a bit of fun on it, in films, they are typically representative of the more villainous type characters that you have. And I think this is down to the fact that INTJs are typically quite reserved with their emotions. They tend to keep quite straight resting faces. It's affectionately known as the death stare, or as I like to prefer to call it, resting bitch face. They typically tend to keep their emotions kept inwardly, and what they show to the world is the very rational, logical, extroverted thinking part of their personality. So, villains in films, Hannibal Lecter. So, again, it's that very high level of intelligence with that. I don't think we can use the word quirky in the sense of Hannibal Lecter, but you understand the point I'm trying to make. Magneto, Tom Riddle, aka Voldemort from the Harry Potter series, and my personal favourite, Emperor Palpatine. All of these 16 personality types have kind of nicknames that associate their type, I guess, to again, for a bit of fun to try and bring it to life, the INTJ is typically known as the mastermind. Another one that springs to mind is Professor Moriarty from the Sherlock Holmes series. So it's that kind of very high intellectual, slightly quirky, slightly misunderstood, great representation of villainy within films. We do have some heroes as well. We've got Black Panther, most recently from some of the Marvel films. Batman. I'm sorry, guys, but we've got Batman. And for anyone who's been watching my channel for any period of time will know I am a massive, massive, massive Trekkie. And Captain Picard, I am delighted to say, is an INTJ. Again, it's that very dispassionate, very calm, rational view of the world. It's been quite eye-opening for me. There are a number of people that I work with who have also taken the test. We do have someone within my team who has the rarest personality type. He's an INFJ, a wonderfully intelligent, really quirky, really eccentric individual who I know is just going to go on and do fabulous things and change the world. It's highly recommended. If you Google Myers-Briggs, there is a website called 16 Personalities. Go on there, take the test. It's multiple choice. I can't remember exactly how many questions, 50, 60 odd different questions. My one bit of guidance to you is when you answer those questions, be truthful to yourself. We all have a perceived way that we would like to be, rather than perhaps we actually are. It's great to aspire to be something more than you are, but answer those questions as honestly and as truthfully as you can. A lot of people mistype when they do these Myers-Briggs assessments because they're not honest when they answer these questions. These are very simple kind of do I agree or strongly agree, disagree or strongly disagree type questions, a whole series of them, like, when I'm at a party, I typically find myself at the edge of the room on my own. For me, that was a strongly agree. I struggle with kind of party type settings. That's one example. There are far more insightful questions, but my general call out is if you're going to do this, be truthful to yourself. A real conduit of self-understanding. The Myers-Briggs is a very complex psychological tool. It's not perhaps the most accessible tool that organizations use, but I've personally found that to be, it has a level of depth that I find interesting and that I find I can relate to. Again, that will be wrapped up in the particular personality type that I am. And INTJs are typically quite pleased to be INTJs. And I have to say, the more that I've read about this, the more delighted I am that I am. It feels nice to be rare, but I'm going to reiterate, no one of these types is any better than the others. I'd love to hear what your Myers-Briggs personality types are. If you feel comfortable with that, please leave it down in the description below. Just a quick vlog, and I hope you're very well wherever in the world you are. As always, please like and share this video, and I'll see you in my next one.